Yeah, we can go longer. I'd say an hour just because
Yeah.
we're recording, by the way. I
Okay.
always tell people let's shoot for an hour because like I realized in like the first, I don't know, 40 or 50 episodes, I would just,
Mhm.
because I can talk forever. And so
Yeah.
like I realized I would be almost like holding people hostage. I would just keep talking and talking, and we'd be like 4 hours in, and I'd see them like yawning, and
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, they're being very like, they don't want to be rude and say I gotta go, so they're just staying on. And
Yeah.
I was like, that's not cool. I need to like give people an out. So I say, hey, let's shoot for an hour, and if we're still having a
Okay.
blast, we'll keep going. And for
Yeah.
whatever reason, we'll bow out. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, why don't you introduce
Cool.
yourself?
Yeah.
You and I have been playing email tag for like 2 months. I've had to cancel
Yeah.
on you, I believe, twice.
Yeah, that's
But
fine. Yeah.
here we are, like 10 weeks
Yeah.
later. I'm glad we finally got it going. So yeah, man, introduce
Yeah.
yourself, brother.
All right. Yeah. So I'm Joseph Johnson. I'm an author and a biomedical engineer. So my pseudonym for my books is Thrack Farrell and Joseph J.R. Johnson.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I,
yeah.
I was so confused because yeah, I had you down as Thrack Farrell, and
Yeah.
yeah, like last week you're like, yeah, by the way, my name's Joe, and I was like, wait, what? I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, it's not even what? And I
Yeah.
realized it was
Not
a pseudonym,
yeah.
but yeah, man, how's how's so it says you're a biomedical engineer.
Hmm.
I'm not nearly that. I have a bachelor's in biology,
Oh,
but
nice. Hey,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. Not really. I don't use it.
Yeah.
I got into medical school out of college, but decided I didn't want to go. So it's now it's
Yeah.
useless. It was useful, but
Mm.
it's what all do you do if you don't mind me talking about biomedical engineering? What all do you
Yeah.
do, and how is what is your view on everything with coronavirus? Do you have like a specialty in that?
I don't have a specialty in that. What my current job is I'm a quality engineer
Right.
for a pretty big company. So um I basically look at documents and I have kind of a weird job. It's like half quality, half manufacturing
Yeah.
engineering at this medical device company. So I've been doing risk documentation is what I've been doing a lot of recently. So it's
Mhm.
just looking at a device and seeing what risks can happen and making this spreadsheet of possible risks, causes, and then just like you come up with a number at the end of
Yeah.
how much damage that could do at the end of the whole thing, basically. And then if it's too high, you have to go back and
It,
mitigate it,
it's
you know?
That sounds like Fight Club. You
Yeah.
know, when he's talking about like he's like, yeah, he's like, we see if what was like the value of life insurance versus the possibility of like the gas tank exploding, and he's
Yeah.
like, and who do you work for? He's like, a major car company, and he's like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
My my ex girlfriend's father was the CEO of a medical device company. I cannot remember what
Oh,
the name was, but I remember his
yeah.
boss was like a comic book villain. He was a he was a billionaire in
Yeah.
Israel named Shlomo Ben Haim, and he had the same chef as Vladimir Putin. And like,
Okay.
yeah,
Weird.
yeah, yeah. But I remember, yeah, he owned like 6 or 7 medical device companies, and one of them was like, I mean, why he owned all these things in like Israel and New York, and I think one of them he got almost like Steve Jobs. He was like booted from the
Yeah.
board, but
Huh.
it was almost like Spider-Man with like the Green Goblin. He was
Yeah.
like he's like, you're not booting me from my own board, and he like hired this Israeli mercenary team to like surround the building and was like, so when the other board members tried to come to work, he literally had these former like
Yeah.
IDF guys there with like M60s and shit. Yeah, man, that guy was a legit fucking comic book villain. But
Yeah.
not to associate you with him, not to put that on you. Be like, all right, Joe,
Yeah.
defend yourself. Um, yeah, crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. What so what made you also want to be a writer? Was that like an original passion or
Yeah, so I mean, as a kid, my favorite hobby was always reading.
Mhm.
And so then just I've always kind of wanted to write a book, and then in
Mhm.
college I just decided to go with it for
Yeah,
my first book, just
yeah,
kind of like a hobby, see if I could do it. And
yeah,
I did it and it kind of worked out, so I've just kept doing it because it's
you-
fun. It's kind
yeah,
of therapeutic to get
yeah.
home from work and write for a little bit. So,
Well,
So that's why, really.
I guess that's why you're supposed to. That's why you should be a writer, man. I don't
Yeah.
know many people that say it's therapeutic. It's
Yeah.
yeah, man. I tried to write something. I tried to write something about a psychedelic trip,
Yeah.
and I wrote it over like 2 years. And I finally finished it at like 40
Hmm.
pages because I was like, "Fuck, I hate this."
Yeah. But hey,
But
at least you tried, though. I mean, that's
yeah, I
pretty
did try.
good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's I don't know, man. Not at your level.
Yeah.
So like, where do you want to go with this? Like writing, is there is the bio is so like right now I'm in online graphic design courses. I like graphic
Okay.
design. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's not the end all be all, but I like it a
Hmm.
lot more than I like biology. And
Yeah.
I would definitely like for my podcast to work and to
Yeah.
make some
Oh,
dough
for
off
sure.
this. But
Yeah.
like there's also this sort of like reality where it's like I gotta have a backup plan.
Yeah.
They said, fuck, it's like if I don't get into med school, I'm gonna go to pharmacy school. Like I had my back.
Yeah.
So my backup is like, let me get the graphic design degree, and if this takes longer than I thought it was gonna take,
Hmm.
I'll do that. Is biomedical engineering, is that like your that puts food on the table and you're
I mean,
trying to make it as a
basically, I
writer?
mean, to make it as a writer, as like an author, it's super competitive and kind
Yeah,
of down to luck. So
yeah,
right now, the writing's really it's a pipe dream if
yeah.
I can make a
Yeah,
living
you
off
gotta
that.
keep going, dude. Gotta keep,
Yeah, yeah.
I
You
know.
get that with the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, dude, yeah.
that's super competitive on
Yeah,
that
dude.
end too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. No, podcast is even more of a pipe. Yours is
Oh, I'm
realistic.
sure.
Podcast is a
Yeah.
fucking pipe dream. Like, how is this gonna work?
Yeah. You
Dude,
seem to be doing pretty good though with all your videos and
yeah,
whatnot.
dude, it's
They
fucking.
have good views.
Thank you,
So
man. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm tearing my hair out because I want it to be much
Yeah.
more, but I'm enjoying it. I had on a guy the other day, odd episode 82, 80, I don't know what it was. John
Hmm.
Romanello. He's an author, and
Okay.
I just knew him from Facebook because he's like a mental health advocate, and that's
Okay.
how I
Yeah.
knew him. And I just ended up following him,
Yeah.
and never didn't exactly like know who he was. Like knew he was
Hmm.
like I know he's successful, but it was just kind of in the periphery. And
Yeah.
I've been trying to get him on my podcast, and finally he was like stuck in California away from home, and finally he was like, you know what?
Yeah.
He was like, quarantine's got me going crazy. He's like, fuck it, I'll give you an hour. And I was like, awesome.
Nice.
And so like that morning I was like, okay, like I know him just as like, someone with depression myself. I was like, oh yeah, I just know him
Hmm.
from Instagram. He's a nice guy. Super,
Yeah.
super buff, super handsome dude. I was like, he's kind of like a
Yeah.
role model to follow. I looked him up. He's like a 2-time New York Times bestseller, and he's the
Oh,
former
geez.
personal trainer to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he worked for
Nice.
Joe Rogan's fitness company as well. And I was like,
Oh, you got someone real famous on there. That's huge.
but I didn't realize this till like
Yeah.
5 minutes beforehand.
Oh
I
no.
was
So
like,
you're probably really
oh,
nervous going
whoa,
in.
no. And so like you can literally see at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, hey man, how's it? Oh, and I literally like 30 seconds in, I'm like, were you really Arnold Schwarzenegger's personal trainer? He was like, at one time, yes, I was. And I was like, so cool. But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of freaked out. And
Oh, I'm sure.
but
Yeah.
I was looking up about, and he's a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
But I looked up, he's one of the only authors to ever, on his first book, he got an
Mhm.
advance, because there's an article about it because it was so uncommon. He got an
Yeah.
advance of $1 million.
Whoa.
And I looked it up, and apparently, like even the best
That's
advance, the
crazy.
best like first time, if you're like a J.K. Rowling
Hmm.
or a J.R.R. Tolkien, you can
Yeah.
whatever, George R.R. Martin, like you can definitely get an advance. But like first time
Okay.
authors, apparently like 50,000 is like that's like unheard of.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
okay, you got it, you made it. He got
Mhm.
$1 million.
That's insane.
I guess that's why you're the personal trainer for Arnold Schwarzenegger, dude. Because
Yeah.
fucking yeah, man. It's yeah,
That's
not the
crazy.
yeah. So yeah, that was like a level of like, oh Jesus. So
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of freaked out with that one. So yeah, when
Oh, I'm
people are like, oh,
sure.
you've had on good people, I'm like, I've had on good people by accident. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you keep getting people like that, you'll get more people like that,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
I
So,
don't want to jinx
uh,
it, but I feel like I've already jinxed it. But I'm trying to have on a guy that I don't know if you recognize the name Mike Durant. He
oh, yeah. Yeah,
You
I
ever seen
recognize the name.
Black
Yeah.
Hawk Down is about him. He was the down
Okay.
pilot that,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Jeez. Nice.
yeah.
That'll be huge. That'll be
Yeah,
good.
he's from like the same small town one of my extended family members is from, and I was just like,
Hmm.
it's a very small town, and I know that he like knew my uncle at one point.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
found his company. He's like an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, and he's in his like 60s now. But I
Yeah.
found his company, found like all the email addresses. It was like,
Yeah.
it was like customer service, media, personal, whatever. I just went through and I kind of
Yeah.
blanket bombed all of his emails, and I was literally like, "Hey, man," and like I got a response, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd be interested."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, fuck, okay."
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, we're talking about me, and we don't need to talk about me. I have 85 episodes of me talking about me.
Yeah.
So what if you'll excuse me, I
Mhm.
because we initially like set up the podcast so long ago, I don't
Yeah.
precisely remember your AMA. Normally, like when I set it up, it's like I'll message them and it will be like 3 or 4 days later we'll do it. But
Yeah.
because of my own fault, not yours, it's it's been like 60 or 70 days. So I
Yeah.
don't entirely remember what your AMA was. I just remember it was badass because I'm a biomedical engineer and an author. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, really, what sparked it was I published my second book
yeah.
like a
Right.
couple weeks before the AMA. So I set up the AMA kind of to help promote it in an attempt to do that. And so really it was just it was this AMA about my new book that I'd recently published called Forgiveness. It's like a fantasy adventure
Yeah.
book. And so that's really what sparked the AMA for me
Yeah.
was that. And yeah, it was a pretty good one. There's quite a few questions
Yeah.
and good questions about biomedical and good questions about writing and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I think it was fairly successful. It was pretty good.
Yeah. If I remember, it's you said you tie science into your writing, correct?
A little bit. Yeah, I try to, since
Yeah.
that's kind of my background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
A little harder to do in fantasy, but
yeah. No, fuck that. I think if anything, it's better. It's
yeah.
because it when you go like pure fantasy, you ever like watch movies where you just can't suspend your disbelief because
Yeah.
it's almost well, you're like the first Transformers. The first
Oh
Transformers
yeah.
was awesome because the first Transformers was awesome because it was like you could kind of like fucking see. Excuse me. You could. I had someone. I swear a lot, and I had someone the other day call me like, What's with the language?" And I was like, "I didn't even realize I swear so much." I cut it down. But you could kind of see it, all right? Because it'd be like, all
Yeah.
right, how would aliens come to Earth? And it'd be like they probably come in like a form that we could relate to. So I don't know, they'd be
Yeah.
cars. Like how would they talk to us? They'd learn it through the World Wide Web, and they'd like
Yeah.
Bumblebee, he talks through the radio and shit. And he's
Yeah.
like, that's how he talks. But then like I don't know, you could like kind of see it. You could,
Hmm.
for me at least, it was like ridiculous, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But almost reasonable.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could suspend your disbelief a little bit. It
Yes.
was it was when it got to like Transformers 2 and 3 and they started like
Yeah.
Transformers had like baby Transformers and there were like eggs
Yeah.
and they were growing in these weird like amniotic
Hmm.
fluid sacs and it was like, dude, what the like what? And it's like Megatron's
What
like
is going
feeding
on?
them like a bird, almost like
Yeah.
he's like you are growing stronger, and it's just like, wait, hold on, what? You're giving birth to little robots and like they're growing like a human, like
Hmm.
what? Like metal doesn't grow. Like it was like
Yeah.
it's you can't tell I'm very passionate about that, and it made me very angry. So I think you do need a bit
Yeah, yeah, you
of
need some realistic
yeah,
kind of stuff. You can't just go fully on the deep end.
yeah,
But
yeah. You can't
yeah,
go full Michael Bay. Like,
yes.
have you seen Arrival? I don't know if you've seen that.
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
It's good. I watched it last year
Yeah.
before. That is one where it's like, to me, that's like the most realistic alien movie.
Yeah.
It's because it's, for lack of a better term, it's so alien. It's like
Hmm.
I don't know. It's like the very first. It's like no one knows how to approach it. Then they go to
Yeah.
approach it, and they wear like hazmat suits because they don't know if there's any like exobiological matter on it.
Yeah.
And it comes down to like establishing like language, and it's literally like, so the first thing they do is they bring in like like linguistic professionals, like
Okay.
yeah, they
Yeah.
bring in people that are like, you know, these people that they use to like decipher hieroglyphics. It's like they could,
Yeah.
and it's like that's very
Yeah.
realistic because it's like they could, the very first bridge is like we got to learn this, as opposed to these weird like bipedal organisms coming down, and
Yeah. And
it,
everyone immediately tries to kill each other.
yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know. So I think there definitely has to be like a bit of scientific real,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
is,
I'd say it helps.
yeah,
So
what, yeah, what is your book about? Again, you'll excuse me.
yeah.
I have,
Yeah. So the
I
book's about
all right, I was gonna say, if
oh
I'm terrible because when books aren't on Audible,
yeah.
I won't. I'm too ADD. I
Yeah.
I had on some guys that worked at a fusion or a nuclear fusion plant or prototype plant, and they had a book, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna, because I've had on several guests that have written books, but they
Hmm.
weren't on Audible. And so I'd buy them, but then I'm like, I can't, too ADD. So
Yeah.
finally, I was like, I can't have on guests if I don't read their books. I was like, that's bullshit. I can't. That's not fair to them.
Hmm.
And so I finally downloaded the Fusion Guys books, and then I managed through some black magic to get Siri to read it to me, so
Yeah.
I could listen and go for walks and shit.
Yeah.
I haven't done that with your book, and I apologize.
Oh, that's
So
fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel very rude, and I
Oh,
have to
that's
get that off my
okay.
chest. I apologize. You forgive me?
Yes, I
Okay,
forgive you. I
thank
wasn't expecting you to read it
you. Okay,
anyways.
no, I would. Oh well, no,
So,
I mean, I would like to. It's yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, to
But yeah,
what is
so
yeah.
it's a fantasy adventure book. It's about this kid whose his village gets destroyed when he's really young. And so he gets recruited by uh this old mage to go and fight this really big demon that's in the south that's been locked away for a long time. So it's a pretty classic plot,
Yeah,
but I think what sets it a little bit apart is the world is a
yeah.
little bit different because it's our world, but like 500 years after a big apocalypse.
Okay.
So that's where the science comes in, is they're repurposing stuff from our world for
Okay.
their fantasy magic world.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like how so? Like
So like for one example, at the beginning of the book, they go on this because the kid lives on in the Caribbean islands originally, and they have to get to the continent. So
mhm.
they go on this ship, and it's an old metal ship with a nuclear reactor, is what it is. So they're using the old like Navy ships
Yeah.
to transport things and for trade and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then later on they have to go across the desert. So I came up with this little machine that's kind of like the strand beasts. I don't know if you've seen those. They're these wind things, and the wind makes the sails go, and they can walk over
Oh
beaches.
yeah,
Yeah, they're like
I've
I
seen
think
those.
like a
Yeah.
Swedish artist
Yeah.
makes them,
Yeah.
something
I know
like that.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I kind of took that idea and then the nuclear reactor idea from the ships, and so some of them
Repurpose
have
it.
nuclear reactors, other ones they just pedal on the inside, and it's like a big thing that goes across the desert, like across the sand dunes. That's
That's
the idea.
it's almost like, yeah. So I'm getting this imagery of like almost like slave ships where you have, like
Hmm.
hundreds of guys rowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
You
idea.
would,
But they're pedaling. They're
yeah,
pedaling instead
yeah.
of rowing. Yeah,
You'd get like hundreds of captives, and yeah, you'd have like the below
yeah,
decks. Yeah,
yeah,
that's that's insane.
yeah,
Yeah. Or I was gonna say you could do shit like, I don't know. What if you got something like, I don't know, you get arm. Have you ever seen those huge army road trains from like the 50s? It was something they tried out.
yeah.
They realized these are legitimately like the length of trains, but they have
Hmm.
tires, and
Yeah.
they're just for transporting stuff in the Nevada test site, which is
Okay.
it's the largest government parcel of land.
Hmm.
It's like bigger than like, I think it's bigger than Connecticut.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
Area 51
Oh,
is inside of it.
okay.
That's where we
Yeah.
tested the nukes. It's just
Yeah.
a
That's
huge plot
huge.
of land in Nevada.
Yeah.
It's where we
Oh,
still it has Tonopah test range. As Annie Jacobson has a really good book called Area 51. It's about it, but it's a
okay.
huge parcel of land. Point being though, is they had to have these things where it's like, all right, there's no other civilian traffic, so they just had
Yeah.
huge like I don't know, like desert trains, and it was
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of getting like imagery of that, but like
Yeah.
put huge sails on it or something. Like
Yeah.
yeah, big land ships. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what it is. Yeah. And then like they use like old skyscrapers as their cities. So like one of the cities is just in this one giant site skyscraper. Because if you think about it, right, there's an apocalypse. Like you won't have cities of millions of people. You have cities of thousands of
You're right.
people.
You're
And
right.
those skyscrapers, some of them are massive. So you could
Yeah.
fit a lot of people in there
Just
and
one.
just yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're a whole little city just in basically one skyscraper that's kind of fallen apart
Yeah.
from our world
Yeah.
to their world. So
Yeah. I didn't think about that. 'Cause
yeah,
that's true. I mean,
yeah.
you got to think like ancient cities, like were there any cities over 1 million people in like BC?
Um,
Like maybe.
Possibly. I mean, I think
Yeah,
Rome
I was gonna
probably
say
was, and
Rome was
then some
probably
of like Beijing and
yeah.
whatnot,
Well,
like some of the Chinese and Indian cities, I would
yeah,
imagine were, but probably not more than 1 or 2 million.
yeah, yeah. Because if you ever look at like a population chart,
Hmm.
like dude, like we were at 1 billion for like the vast majority of human
Yeah.
history. It's only
Oh
recent.
yeah.
It's exponential curve, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say because some skyscrapers are like that. The
Oh
John
yeah.
Hancock Center in Chicago,
Hmm.
the Burj Khalifa, which is the biggest in
Oh yeah. It's
Dubai.
huge.
But there's
Yeah.
some of these things where they refer to them as these like self-contained cities because they're
Yeah.
some of these
Because they
buildings
can
are
hold a
so big.
couple thousand people
Yeah,
every day for work,
yeah,
just as office buildings.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
the World Trade Centers they held. That was why they were. That's why 9/11 was actually kind of like a blessing because they're on a packed day. There's supposed to be something like 50,000 people in those.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's like the Sears Tower and the John Hancock Center.
Hmm.
It's, they're in downtown Chicago, and it was just
Yeah.
these like wealthy people with like these penthouses on the top
Yeah.
floor, and it was like it's all about convenience, and it's
Yeah.
convenience in the city is like you don't have to even leave your building. So as you take an
Hmm.
elevator down, apparently they'd have like elementary schools. This is real life. They had
Oh,
elementary schools in some layers or
really? Oh,
levels.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gyms, grocery stores, barber shops, doctors' offices, and
So
then
you'd never have to leave from your
you never
work.
have to leave your
Yeah.
building. But yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Do you
Cool.
so in your book? I don't know if you go into this detail. Are so when skyscrapers first started in like 1890s Chicago, I think the
Hmm.
biggest one at the beginning was like 10 floors, and the wealthy people lived on the bottom floors because it was
Yeah.
seen as like a ironically below them to have to walk
Hmm.
upstairs. That was
Yeah.
for peasants. You walk upstairs. Wealthy people get
Yeah.
to just stride on in into the room.
Hmm.
With the invention of the elevator, and then flipped, and then it became
Yeah.
wealthy people get to be above everyone.
Yeah. Because they don't have to walk anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you go into that detail in your books, but is that I was thinking like you have these huge skyscrapers that are falling
Hmm.
apart. I don't know. I feel like the lower class would be at the tippy top because it'd be like
Yeah.
that's the most shit.
So the city that I have, it's mostly a nomadic people, and they come to the skyscraper once a year, basically just for like their meetup and whatnot. So it's not so much. There's not really much of a class system there with that. But
Yeah.
I do have some of them because they're not human. These ones,
Oh, okay.
they're not human. So there's some that can fly, so they live on the top floors because they can just
Oh, okay.
fly up there, and then everyone else, yeah, they live on the bottom floors because those are in the best repair,
Yeah.
obviously, because it's been sitting there for 500 years and
Yeah.
can't really fix it once it
Yeah.
starts falling apart, like the concrete and the steel and the glass
Yeah.
can't replace with their
Yeah.
technology.
That's
So
true. Yeah. You can't
so
back
yeah,
engineer it. It's
yeah,
yeah. I was gonna. This one thing I always thought of would be like, what if it's almost like we have the. Do you know what the Svalbard seed vault is?
I don't. The seed vault, yeah, yeah, where they have all the seeds so that we can
Almost
go
like
pick them up after the
yeah, for
apocalypse. Yeah,
apocalypse. Yeah, but it's
yeah.
this huge thing. I think it's in Norway. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's
It's
in
really
one of the
far. It's
Baltic
somewhere
states,
where
like
there's
way up in the Arctic
yeah.
Circle.
Well, it's
Yeah,
it's somewhere that has permafrost, and that's
yeah,
so that even if the power shuts down, they're still going to
mhm,
be naturally frozen, and
yeah,
so they're preserved. And it's built into a mountain, and the front of it is it's nuclear hardened so that it will survive a direct nuclear hit. So it's kind of like, it's like the rainy day fund for an apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And it has stuff from like every country. One thing I thought of was like, do you think that there would ever be like, because like satellites and space stations have decaying orbits, so every once in a while they got to boost back up.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, what if like in the event of an apocalypse, you couldn't do a hard drive because you'd have to assume that there's going to be no computers to read it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it would be. Maybe it would just be like not even microfilm, because film would be, you'd almost get like a metal tablet or something. Like for currency, going all over the place, but for currency is actually the designs, they're inscribed on metal because the detail can be so high. These guys get in there with super intricate tools, and you just go on, down to like, I wouldn't say micrometers, but I mean like tenths of a millimeter. And that's how they make all the intricate design. Because you do it with a pen, you can't do it. It's the ink's going to spread. Metal tip, you just get. You'd almost do something like, because a magnifying glass, that would, stuff like that would probably survive, right? I mean, telescopes or handheld telescopes, what, 1500s, 1600s. Well, I was thinking like, what if it would almost be like a form of like the 10 Commandments, because you'd want something that doesn't need a power source. You want something that can't be affected by an EMP blast. You'd want something that, even if it did survive, but if there's a bunch of nomadic people in 500 years future in your book,
they won't destroy it or anything.
Drive. It's like, here's a 10 terabyte hard drive, but it's like,
but they can't use that.
What good is it? If I saw this in the woods, I would just, it'd be like the monolith in 2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
What is that?
All it would be. You wouldn't know what it is.
No, or how to use it or anything.
So you'd almost need something. It'd be like written in every language, and it would be like, I don't know,
basically like the Rosetta Stone kind of thing.
It'd be like a Rosetta Stone /
just like our modern version of it.
But I think what it would be is, I've thought about this, like almost like the golden record on Voyager 2, but obviously it'd have to be like infinitely more complex than that. But I think you'd have like anatomical descriptions. You'd have go in and you'd write like physics equations. I don't know, structure of the atom. A map, definitely a globe, a map of the globe.
Map would be good. Map, basic math.
Basic math.
Up to like probably trigonometry.
It'd be like when your professor gives you a cheat sheet and you can have one next card. You want to write as much as you could on these, like inscribed on these metal tabs. But what I thought is like, you'd put them in orbit, right?
Oh, and then have them crash down eventually.
It'd be like a dead man switch. If they're not, orbits aren't continually being saved, and space station, when the Soyuz rockets boost to them, they dock, but they'll do a little firing, and it's just
to keep it up there.
So what you do is you'd have these things, and it'd be like, I think you'd almost make like a ring, just so that when their orbits decayed, some of them would hit the ocean, but you'd have them hit every continent, so people would find them, and you'd pick up these tablets.
That'd be cool.
We can cut this out. You can write a whole book about this. You can have it. I don't care.
Dude, that's a really good idea. And then you could probably time it out too. Like,
start
with basic stuff first for the first couple, and then get more and more advanced.
Dude, I'll actually postpone uploading this if you want to like keep this and write with it. I don't give a shit. You can do it.
Yeah, honestly, because that would fit in my world pretty well too. Like,
dude, hold on. I'm gonna take a piss. Let's brainstorm. Are you down to brainstorm for a bit?
All
right, let's do it. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Excuse my weak bladder. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Yeah. My brain's popping now. I'm getting that.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, hold on. Okay. Sorry, I got terrible allergies. I gotta take a
Oh, that's
Claritin.
fine. Yeah.
You don't
It's
mind
a
me.
bad time to have allergies. Go outside and start sneezing from them.
I know. Well, no, that's the thing. It's like I'll be walking in my neighborhood because I got to get some exercise every day or I'll go insane.
Yeah.
But I'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
walking by people, and I'll sneeze and I'll cough, and you can kind of see people like,
Yeah. Well, you're like, oh, no, we got to get away from this guy.
COVID. And it's like, dude, no, I'm just fuck.
Right.
Yeah, it's. I got it. Yeah, dude. So like, yeah. So like, I was thinking like, what would it be? It would be like, hold on. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
God damn you, biology. You'd have, yeah. Would you have like different spheres of satellites? So it's timed.
Yeah.
So, because you're right, it wouldn't do any good if like the metal plate hit the
really
Earth that had
advanced
like
came
the
down.
double helix, right? That
Yeah,
wouldn't
because
matter.
they'd have, that just looks like a cool design. But if it comes down, it has like basic geometry or just really basic like arithmetic and like a writing system.
Yeah. You'd almost
that
have
would be
to just have,
useful.
you'd almost just have to have like almost like Da Vinci. You'd almost have to have like man and woman, right? So it would be like that's us, right? So you'd be like, okay, that's us.
Yeah.
So how far back are we assuming that like society is like set back? Are we like nuclear
For
stone
mine,
age? Or what's yours? Like
yeah,
what?
so for mine, it's kind of a mix of like medieval and Bronze Age. So there's certain groups that kept some knowledge and some technology, but they've kind of hoarded it within themselves. So they're like medieval,
Absolutely.
basically.
Yeah.
And then there's other groups that haven't, and so they're basically Bronze Age or Stone Age, pretty much.
Yeah.
But then they have the magic to help them out against, the more advanced societies. Just kind of the balancing there. But so it kind of depends. Yeah. And then there are some immortal people that are from our world that survived, and they're basically like the wizards and the gods or whatever.
Just giving society little nudges along the way.
Yeah. So that's basically where my world's at. So
what do you? Yeah, I was gonna say. I guess it would, the satellite system. It would be planned for worst case scenario, right?
Yes. Yeah. For absolute worst, like no technology survives. We're just like back to basic farmers, and that's it. Like farmers, ranchers, Stone Age.
Yeah.
It's probably what you'd plan for.
So you would start with. Yeah. So let's just look at it as the minds, the planners. What would you? It'd be man, woman, right? Almost Da Vinci-esque.
Yeah.
But even if you wrote 1 + 1 = 2, would they even know what that is? Like
probably not. Yeah, you'd have to start with some sort of like writing system initially, and I don't know how you would communicate that to someone who doesn't know what that is. I'm sure
some writing would have survived, right?
I would imagine, at least like basic like numbers, at least just for counting things for trading, you know. Because that's the theory on where writing started. It was initially to keep track of what everyone had and for taxes, basically, was where the theory is.
Yeah.
It's like, how much grain do you have? And these 3 marks here, that's 30 bales of grain. That's what you owe us. This is how writing started. That's the theory.
Fucking IRS.
Right.
From fucking Sumeria till now. But
that's why no one messes with them.
Yeah.
They're the oldest.
They run the world. Yeah.
They're the real Illuminati.
Yeah. It's it's like they fucking stretch across eons. But I was gonna say, so writing would definitely. I mean, again, nothing. Obviously, the internet that wouldn't survive. Any things like pictures. Those would decay. You'd have some in like basements somewhere that would survive. But like shit that would really probably have like street signs, right? Any engravings.
Any sort of vinyl signs would survive just fine because those are plastic technically, so those would last for a while. But again, if they lose what writing is, those are just symbols.
Yeah.
I guess the first one would probably be like a kind of pictograph thing, like drawing of a bird and then like
Yeah.
a dash over to the word for bird, basically, and
Yeah.
just have like a
Okay.
long list of that. Because
Okay.
then you can have, they know what
They
the
would decipher.
symbols mean, and then you could on the next one have real basic
Mm,
sentences and kind of
mm,
build up from there.
mm. Yeah, you would have.
Yeah,
Well, we'd have to look at like what was the natural progression of shit. What are things they noticed? They from the way back
yeah,
in the dawn of time. What did they notice? They noticed the stars, the
yeah,
seasons, all the pagan religions.
yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
sun, the equinox,
Yeah, the solstice and equinox have always been huge.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like what that's. I mean, that's literally like Christmas, right?
Yep. Oh
It's
yeah.
Easter. It's about the rising of the sun. It's
Yeah. Yeah, to celebrate that winter's coming to an end, the days are getting longer, we'll get more
yeah,
sunlight.
yeah. Crops
And
are growing, flowers
yeah.
are blooming. Yeah, so you have
Mm,
stuff like
oh
that.
yeah.
You have um
So yeah, that would be good. Yeah, some sort of
different,
astronomical thing, because that would
yeah,
definitely help them
yeah.
for
Just
sure.
because even that, it's like, yeah, that's how
Yeah.
farmers used to. That's how they used to know like when the seasons were coming because
Yeah.
the like the precession of the whatever the fuck it is, some Graham Hancock shit. The stars shifting in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
different phases of the moon,
Yeah.
um, the planets, because that was, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that took a long fucking time to figure out.
Oh yeah.
Um, that you'd have to you'd I don't know, man, woman, I don't know, like birth, child
Yeah.
coming from um
Yeah.
water. You'd have I'm trying to think, but they I don't think they would be need to be told water. That's just an instinct.
No. It would just be more for like understanding later texts.
You had to make
Yeah.
fire.
Oh, that
So
would be a good one.
you
Yeah.
really gotta like how far back
Yeah.
are we looking? Like are we going so
That'd be way far back. But I mean, worst case scenario,
worst case scenario?
that could be
Would you
because I mean,
even
think about if we did lose all technology and you're just out there on your own, would you know how to make a fire?
fuck no. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, well maybe
exactly.
just because I grew up in human society, I know what fire
Yeah,
is. But
you
if
know
you've
what it
never
is,
seen
but
fire,
yeah,
yeah,
there'd be no way. But yeah, like that could be lost pretty quick for
I
certain
think
groups.
I
If
think you'd
because all
almost
I would know is like do the like the rub the stick on
yeah.
another stick, but I don't know if I could even successfully
I couldn't.
do
No,
that. Like,
no, not at
there's no
all.
way.
I think you would almost because I mean having that would be premium real estate to be on the metal slabs. I
Oh
think
yeah,
one thing you'd almost like attach would be like
yeah.
flint. It'd
Oh yeah. Oh,
be
that
like
could
an
be kind
M.
of funny. Yeah,
Yeah, it'd
have
almost
like
be
little
like an
care
MRE.
packages with each
Yeah,
one. So
yeah.
yeah, so like related to the
Stuff that like
well,
can't be explained
yeah,
almost. It would be like I
yeah.
don't know if you've ever watched Steve MRE. Steve 1980. It's a YouTube channel. This guy
Yeah.
just he's like this MRE. He's like our age. I'm
Okay.
29. How old are you? I'm 29.
I'm 26.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think he's like in between us.
Okay.
But he goes, but he's got a huge following. But he goes through all these like
Hmm.
MREs from like over the decades, over
Yeah.
the different countries and shit. And it's always about like
Okay.
they got like matches. I mean, literally, he'll go in, he'll
Hmm.
open, and he'll be like, it'd be like there's different kits for if you're shot down over the Pacific. There are different kits for
Yeah.
like if are you on the Western Front in World War One. There are different
Okay.
kits for like are
Interesting.
you in 1988 and you're Delta Force and you're stranded in Russia. It's
Yeah. Huh.
but there was certain stuff, yeah, and they'd have little like that actually be some good inspiration. It has like different
Yeah.
like and then, yeah, that has like little cheat sheets and everything is like
Hmm.
super because it's that's a lot. It's precious real estate because it's
Yeah.
something that the
So it's
soldier
all
has
packed
on them.
real
Yeah,
nicely
it's
and
perfect
yeah.
geometric. It's but
Oh
these
yeah.
maps come out and yeah, it's basic stuff. It's literally like how to start a
Hmm.
fire. It's like
Yeah.
how to literally basic like how to find water. How to
Yeah.
I think you'd almost have to
Huh.
have you'd have like
Something like that.
some
And
map.
honestly, that would work too if because
Yeah,
if we're sending up these satellites, it's gonna probably be like a group of like military people and government people
yeah,
at NASA sending them up anyway. So they'll already have that experience to think
yeah. I'll have
of
that
doing
that
it similar to
mindset.
that.
Have that pure survival mindset.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and it's
would
like
make sense.
yeah,
Just from a world perspective.
yeah.
That
Well, I
would,
was
yeah.
thinking as they went on, as they so yeah, I was thinking you'd have these like spheres, right? So you'd have
Hmm.
rings so they hit everywhere on Earth,
Yeah.
but then you'd also have spheres for different times, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Different orbits since they all
yeah,
decay.
Yeah,
Like, because the decay I think is pretty much similar among satellites. It just depend on
I think it's
how
just
far
height.
up it
Yeah,
is.
it's just
Yeah,
height. It's I don't think
yeah,
anything else matters. It's
yeah. I mean,
it,
I guess the gravity would kind of matter, which
well, I mean,
I don't remember the equation is, but I think further away you get less
for
gravity. But
for
I
orbital
think the decay
mechanics.
is basically the same. Like, I
Yeah, no,
think
I'm pretty
they're
sure for like orbital
fairly
mechanics,
similar,
like so long as you're outside the atmosphere, I think if you
pretty
put up
much
like
the same.
a pencil and like an anvil, I'm pretty sure it's they decay
They'll
at
fall
the
at the
same rate.
same
It's
time.
just
It's just
speed. It's
yeah, if the
orbital
height's
speed. Yeah,
different, yeah,
that's how
maybe.
you get the time change. Yeah, so
Hmm.
you'd yeah, but I don't know. It's just yeah, thinking
Yeah,
military mindset. How else would you do it? Because like let's
yeah.
say let's say society was set back. Let's say it was set back like a couple hundred years, and like the
Mhm.
first ones start falling. But it's like shit. These are just like we know this. We already it's like we
Yeah.
know this. It's like there'd still be nuclear bunkers that survive, so there'd still be like
Hmm.
relatively educated people, and it
Oh
was
yeah.
so it'd be like fuck, like um
Well, I mean, also some things that will survive, like the Vatican has that library
oh yeah,
that's completely environmentally controlled
yeah,
and it's in an actual vacuum. Like the library itself, when no
yeah,
one's in there, there's no air or anything in there. So most of those books will survive for hundreds of years.
yeah, that's true.
So if they have access to stuff like that,
Yeah,
like
that would
then
literally
they
be
will
like
have a lot of knowledge.
well,
Just they
whoever.
might not be able to do anything because there's not enough people to build back
Yeah,
an industry, you
yeah,
know?
dude, that would literally be like a resurrection of like the high priests because
Oh yeah.
they would be the gatekeepers. They would
Yeah.
literally they would be the gatekeepers of knowledge. You
Yeah.
know?
And they would have so much like
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, but that's how you'd hang on to that knowledge because just like
Oh yeah.
general like pursuit of power, it's
Hmm.
people would say that they would keep that knowledge for them. It's like
Oh yeah.
originally only the priests could like read the Bible, right? Because only they
Yeah,
knew Latin. The lay people they
exactly.
weren't ready for the word of God,
Yeah.
and
And
it's
that's why they're really pissed off at Luther for
yeah, yeah,
translating it and
because
giving it
yeah,
to the people.
yeah, but it literally, and then like the priest, it used to be after that, it was the priest didn't face the
Hmm.
what is it the I don't even know what the correct the crowd of people
Yeah.
there's a specific term for whatever it's and then over time like he faced them and then even then the masses weren't in Latin, it started to be in
Hmm.
English and it was yeah,
Yeah.
so it's knowledge has always been so I was thinking like if we knew these decays were happening
Hmm.
you'd start to be like just I mean power struggles is as old as
Oh
time
yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
so it would literally get to a point where it'd be like we know there's another one coming
Yeah.
and
And you
and
have
this
to
one
find
is
the spot and fight other people
what
for
would it
it.
would literally be like this one's what would be like a heavy one it'd be like this one is I don't know this one's how to
Maybe
produce
like
Kevlar just I'm
oh
thinking of like
yeah.
it would be like what
Or
are the
like maybe like
paradigm shifts
sanitation or something
bulletproof
or
sanitation
yeah.
this one has like a strain of penicillin on it and we just
Oh,
have
that
to
would be a
reproduce
good one.
cultures
Because
yeah
then the
it'd be
promise would be
cultures.
like, it'll get rid of plagues,
Yeah,
is
but
what the
what
people
it
would
would
be
be
thinking.
is what it would be
Yeah.
is like, all right, we know there's another like relatively advanced because you got to think not everyone's going to find these orbits. Some of them are just going
Yeah.
to like hit a mountainside and just be buried a
Yeah.
mile in, or some are going to be in the middle of the Atlantic. But you got to
Yeah.
think. I'm thinking that there'd be different power groups. It'd probably be like governmental
Yeah.
nuclear bunker. You should I'll send it to you. There's a book called Raven Rock by Garrett Graff.
Okay.
It's all about the
Yeah.
nuclear bunkers Eisenhower built.
Oh.
But yeah,
Oh, cool.
it's
Huh.
my favorite book. It is my favorite book.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like so you'd have like different power groups. And they'd be you could probably imagine who it'd be, right? It'd probably be
Oh
like
yeah.
the military elite of the US, right?
Yeah.
Political and military elite, probably those
Yeah.
of China, Russia, I don't know, India, Pakistan, maybe Britain,
Hmm.
France, all the first world countries. But what I
Yeah.
was thinking is like they would like the new thing would be whatever, let's say a culture of penicillin or
Hmm.
sanitation or I don't know, had developed like certain armors or something, a big step
Yeah.
in like in weaponry or
Yeah.
like flight. I don't know.
Oh, flight. Yeah, that would be a pretty good one. Or like how to make like steel would be good if they're
Yeah,
far
yeah,
enough back because it's
yeah,
like with this technology you can make swords and armor that
yeah,
just unbeatable, you
yeah.
know?
And not only that, but
Yeah.
so what it would be is like they'd almost want to be like, we got to get ours and we can't let them get theirs.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like, we're equal powers right now. And it'd be like, and the,
and whoever gets it's going to have a huge immediate
it's going to
jump.
be like, who gets the A-bomb almost. It's going to be like,
pretty much. Yeah, because once you get it, you can conquer everything, most likely.
Yeah, because it would be like, I mean, it's almost independent of technology. It doesn't matter if it's knowledge about the A-bomb or knowledge about how to make steel, because it would just be the same leg up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
and plus, I mean, you'd have to think, like, if they do go far enough back, these would be basically messages from God.
Well, that's what I was thinking, like.
Is what the people would be thinking, too. So just getting it, even if it doesn't help you militarily or anything, or you might not even understand it, you still got it. So that's still an unknown for your enemies that you can hang over their head, like, I got the message of God. I have something crazy.
Even if they didn't know what it was, even if it wasn't like these powers vying for it, you know, like like the bouquet of roses at a wedding, like, here it comes, we got to grab it. Even if they didn't know what it was, let's just say no one had any knowledge of this, it would just be, it would literally be like, whose God is more powerful? Because they wouldn't know that it's all one like system. They would just think like, oh, the Chinese or whatever their name would be, people on the Asian continent, they got this one. Like, their God is strong.
Oh yeah.
And you want to be like, no, our God's strong. And you literally have like temples built to this shit.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have
and just thinking about it too, like the physicists now, astrophysicists, they're really good at predicting orbits and stuff. So they might even be able to plan out that each satellite will hit the same area every single time, right?
Oh yeah.
That would be ideal to pass on the information too.
The same spot.
Especially if you do like the different steps. So they try and have them land in the same spot. And if they did that, then someone's going to take over that spot and just hold it. It's like a big, ridiculous fort. And,
make a defensive area around the perimeter.
Yeah, just waiting for it to fall eventually.
Dude, and actually, you're right. My limited mind, I'm like, you got to put them everywhere so they crash everywhere. No,
that would still be good too, just as like a backup in case.
Yeah, but
you know, because people probably won't find the first couple that fall, right?
Yeah.
Like unless they're nearby, then they'd see it, this satellite come and crash and find it. But if no one's near the first couple, it won't get discovered. So still send them everywhere, but make sure that everywhere is consistent.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking of like just general like Uncle Sam. Even if you can never take nationalism out of the equation. So even if it was like to produce these things to survive humanity, there'd still be like, we should make sure they hit around like, we should only hit North America. We don't need to be throwing this stuff right now, It's even if it was for like, just the idea would be like, let's keep human being going on. Ultimately be like, let's make sure the U.S. keeps going. So, but yeah, that's a good idea, because you're right. They would almost hit the same. You could have them hit the same spot, and so you could literally do it on like, and you would do it. You could design it so it was on specific days, like the longest day,
with
like
the astronomical stuff you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it'd be like
great.
The day of the sun, like the shortest day of the year. Or the longest day of the year, because those are 2 exact days, right?
Yeah, I probably do the longest day of the year just so that it doesn't get lost under the snow. Christmas.
Yeah,
it'll get lost under the snow when it impacts. Whereas summer, you can find it easy.
You know what you would do? You would choose. You would choose a coordinate.
Yeah.
A specific coordinate, but not just like a random location. You'd want it to like correlate to numbers. So I don't know, like. You want it to hit like a specific, like an even coordinate. It wouldn't even be about location. It would just be, because eventually that's something that they would understand eventually, right? You'd be shooting down maps of the world, and you'd be shooting down longitude and latitude.
Yeah.
And so, you'd want these specific coordinates.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because then if there's a pattern and they find them, they could go to the other coordinates. To find any that they might have missed.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Because it'd be like.
And if you think about it, like, this is where societies will grow from, right? Because they're the ones getting all the information too. So it would also point to other civilizations that are probably similar to them to start the global trade system going again.
So it'd almost be like,
would be ideal for us planning to rebuild from an apocalypse.
So you'd almost want to shoot them like where you'd want to shoot it at like a coastal city.
Yeah.
You'd be like, let's just skip this. Like, you'd be like, let's cut out the middleman. Let's not have these people waste 1,000 years in the desert. Let's put them right at, I don't know. It'd be like I don't know, someplace fertile. You'd almost, I don't know, you go to like maybe somewhere like a New Orleans type, or maybe
Yeah.
Southern California or something. Like you'd want it
Southern
like,
California would be pretty solid. Yeah,
yeah,
like Napa Valley kind of
yeah,
thing. Like,
yeah, not something with like non-destructive weather. Oh,
yes.
you don't want barren tundra. You don't want
No.
like
Yeah.
Death Valley. You literally, yeah, you'd want like
Yeah. Yeah,
SoCal,
you want
right?
somewhere where people would live. So yeah,
Yeah,
so river valleys and
yeah,
coasts would be
yeah,
good. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And it would, so yeah, so they'd start building there before they even realized that they were in the ideal location.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah, that would be the ideal
cut out
thing.
like 500 years of like trial and
Yeah.
error.
Because
Yeah,
otherwise it would just be luck. Like it'd probably be some like
yeah.
traveler just looking up, seeing some ball of fire come and land, and then be like, I'm gonna check that out over there,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
they might not. They might just be terrified with, oh, what the just
The
run away,
power
right?
of God.
It'd have
Yeah,
to be some weird traveler who's just like, oh, that was weird. Let's go
yeah,
see what's over there.
yeah. Exactly.
They might not, because
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
So
trying to
yeah,
think of
kind
like
of
what
near.
else. I wonder if it would you'd almost like if you could almost attach like seeds or something. So
You
it'd be
probably could,
like
because seats wouldn't like they wouldn't break down
they'd
up
survive.
in
No,
space. Yeah.
if you had them like come
Oh,
out of the thing, right?
yeah.
You'd have some like it couldn't be like electric powered. You
Huh.
have to have some like mechanical, you know,
Yeah.
that like
Well,
reentry would burn
ideally,
off the
on
shield.
impact, it would spread the seeds, I
Yeah,
bet.
okay, there you go. Yeah, yeah. It would just
Yeah, because they did do some a similar kind of test. I think back in like the 70s maybe, but they were seeing if they could orbital drop food to soldiers was the idea for this project. And so they just stuck like food packs, it was basically like
yeah,
protein bar kind
yeah,
of things in the satellite and just threw it at the Earth basically. And it worked. The food was edible when it landed, but they had like I think it was like 100 bars, and by the time they opened it up the satellite, it was all just one big mess of
yeah.
just it was just one big glob of
Molten protein-ish cloud.
yeah. It was still edible, so it
Yeah,
kind of worked, but not
yeah.
ideal. So they didn't move forward with it. But the seed thing, if they could get it right, yeah, when it lands, it should shoot out, or maybe when it enters the atmosphere, since it'll burn off the outsides. If they
Th-
can
That's what I was saying.
make it
Light
somehow,
field, so it
it'll
burns
yeah
off.
burns
Boom,
off, and then yeah, as it just falls,
it's like
just because it's
1,000 miles
traveling so
spread,
fast, it just
or
spreads
1,000
the
miles spread.
seeds.
Yeah, you could just
Oh yeah, for a
you
very long
literally
distance.
fertilize. Like you could,
Yeah,
it almost be like. Remember, was it Space Shuttle Columbia? Remember how it burned up, but literally like people from like New York to like Dallas could see it. You'd have
yeah.
something like that. You'd have like
Oh yeah.
yeah, just
Huh.
releasing shit. And you wouldn't even
Yeah.
have to release like every single seed because one
Oh
seed
no.
is going to replicate. So it's
Yeah. Yeah. You just need a couple to
yeah.
get in the soil.
What I was
Yeah.
thinking is like, well, what if so you could literally find these like think of like, your traditional like kind of not just asteroid impacts, but almost like
Hmm.
crash where it seems like it's drags through the dirt
Yeah.
and there's the mound at
Oh
the end.
yeah. Yeah.
You could almost find these like 100-mile long streaks, but it would just be like, it'd be like barren, barren, and then all
Hmm.
of a sudden there would just be like
Like
this, but it would be made out of like plants.
yeah,
Like, there'd
because
just
it'd
be
be
a
like
streak of
corn or
plant.
whatever they
It'd be like,
left
or you
there.
could almost put on like a colorful flower or something to indicate that this
Oh
is it.
yeah.
It'd
Yeah.
literally be like
Oh, that'd be cool.
if you find like, the bright red flower,
You'll know,
like
yeah, one of
it's
them's
near.
near. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
that'd
Yeah,
be
but
fucking.
then with the seeding too for just like regular food too, that
Well,
could
yeah, yeah.
promote
So
people to live there
yeah, it'd be
for the
an
next
oasis.
impact.
It'd literally be an oasis. Yeah.
Yeah,
But then I was thinking you couldn't
but
have
both
them.
of those would be cool. I mean, you could do both. You could do
You could do
like
everything. Yeah, you
you
could.
could do the wheat and flowers,
Yeah,
each one,
yeah, yeah. Maybe flour would be like the absolute core. So you'd spread seed,
Yeah.
but like only right around the impact site would be like the red flower,
Oh,
right?
that's a good idea.
You'd have like a whole
Oh
valley of
yeah.
shit that grew for 100 years, and as you
Yeah.
got closer, you'd see like by the time you found it, it'd be 100 years. So you might find a whole mountainside that's just like red, right? It would just be like red flowers and shit. Yeah. So you'd have this like whole just. Where'd you go? Did you freeze up, Joe? Thrak? I think you froze up on me. Did we lose him? Did we lose him? Fuck. He'll be back on in a second. Mr. Joe Johnson. You back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you froze up. Yeah, that happens.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd have like, yeah, you'd find these like streaks of. But I was thinking, so you couldn't even hit them in the same spot though, because if you had people start developing near like the oasis, right? Well, you don't want to pummel that same area with a.
That's true. Yeah, because that would kill a lot of
and then you'd be
them.
like,
every couple of years, just.
Boom.
But that's
you'd be right back to where the problem you just had, and that'd be no.
That's true. Yeah, but that's more of a problem on them. They're the ones that settled there.
But no, we're telling them to settle there.
Not to.
Yeah. But we're telling them to settle there. We're leaving seeds, right?
Ideally, so they get all the information later.
So maybe
I guess after like one or two big impacts that kill everyone, they probably settle like the next valley over.
Well, I don't know, man. They might not understand. They might not. They don't understand orbital mechanics. They probably aren't. And not only that, even if they did, they're probably looking at it like lightning's not going to strike twice. Right? Right. We're not going to get hit twice. So
there's no way.
Yeah. So you'd almost want to. I think you would do like you'd want to make a pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like, I don't know, go and find them almost.
Oh yeah.
You'd want to. Not only that, you wouldn't want them to hit the same spot twice, because what if the second one destroys the first before it's found?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You have your
basic
at least like and then like
couple miles away.
Yeah, and then you have one coming down that explains fluid dynamics, but
but you destroyed the previous one.
And it veered back to the first. So yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like. Yeah. Or would you just have them all hit in one spot? Or like relatively near? Because I mean, what if you're already at steel? What if you're at like 1910? We nothing digital, but like we still figured out like combustion engines, like almost like Model Ts. Like fuel would be very rare, but even then, it's like 1910 technology wasn't too much more advanced than like 100 years prior. So
because technological advancement, that's an exponential curve too.
Yeah, so it's like the distance between like 1800 and 1900. It's like you could almost pinch it together. So like if you had all these people going around like Model Ts and shit with some relative, and then like the first decay comes down and it's like how to make steel, but it's like what the fuck, we know that, right? It's like they'd be like they'd already have the telegraph and shit, so it'd be you'd want a way to be like, oh well, fuck, Dillon's not coming down for another 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So well, that's the other thing was what's the difference in orbits?
That's a good question. Yeah, because I don't know. That's probably more of a math question, honestly, for the
you'd want to
because how accurate can you make?
No, they can make them. That's how we were able to get to the moon in the 60s is because that's
true.
It literally comes down to like if you can like see where the moon is, know where the Earth is, and know a couple variables. That's why once we map one asteroid, that's why it's mapped forever. It's because we know it's like
we know exactly where it's going to be.
That's how like we know like in I think it's like 2039, we know on the exact day that an asteroid is going to be passing between the moon and us. It's because there's no variables. We know it's orbital mechanics. There's nothing out there touching it. We know where it's going,
Yeah.
So it's but yeah, you got to think you'd want to plan for the worst. You'd be
because worst case, you'd probably do it at least every couple decades so that they can really digest the information and build off it on their own before they get the next one.
That's true.
Because ideally, they'd already be trying to fix these problems, and then this tablet comes and it just provides the answers for what they're trying to already do.
Yeah,
like be the ideal thing, but it's not that far back. They'll solve the problems a lot quicker on their own.
Yeah.
And so they might never, the tablets might never ever catch up,
Yeah.
Unless they go a completely different direction with their technology.
Oh shit! What if they branch off in a way that we didn't?
Like that's one thing I've always
thought
would be interested with like aliens is the different technologies because they went a completely different route. Like
it's like what Bob Lazar said. He was like, "How do we not know that aliens just like the first thing they figure is like what if they live in like a very uranium-rich world and they just discover nuclear power in the equivalent of like the 1100s, you know,
Yeah.
and they just skip the middle ground? It's
Yeah. Or for example, like
depending on the
Australia,
movie. Yeah.
the people in Australia, they are the only culture that never made arrows. Every other culture natively figured out how to make bow and arrows,
That's
but
weird.
the Australian people never did. Or like South America, there are no wheels. They never invented the wheel.
That's
Like the Incas never had wheels. That's why they had alpacas
yeah.
transport everything, because they never invented the wheel, but they still had a math system,
Yeah.
like a full math system,
Weird. So
right?
yeah,
So it
you'd
can
want
branch
to
off like
study.
crazy.
Yeah. So you'd want to study like the similarities in old culture. What are the true
Yeah.
universal language? It would be math.
Yes. Yeah.
It'd be math, geography, because it's
Yeah.
not
Geography would be
geography
huge.
is geography. It's not. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter what you make, what you
Yeah.
think about it. It's yeah. It's,
Yeah.
but what I was thinking is, you know, it's like when you play through a video game the first time,
Hmm.
and we've already gone for an hour, by the way. So if at any point
Oh shoot.
if any point you need to go,
Yeah.
let me know because I'll keep
I mean, I
talking.
do have plans later, but I don't know what time those are. Let's see if my friends
Yeah,
texted me.
just tell me. We can do 5 more minutes. We can do 30. I don't give a shit. Whatever you
Ah,
want.
we can keep going for a while.
All right,
Yeah.
dude, I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck. Yeah, just let me
Oh
know
yeah.
when you gotta go. I take no
Yeah.
offense to it. I don't
So
care.
yeah,
Yeah.
one question I do have.
Yeah.
What's this podcast gonna look like for me though, since we've just been brainstorming this? Is this going in the podcast? Because it's fine if it is.
I don't give a
But
shit, man. It's whatever you want.
yeah.
I was gonna say, well, what I was serious when I said it. I can just like delay uploading this if you want to like use this and write about it. If you don't want anyone else to snag it.
Yeah, well, to write about it, I mean, before someone snags it, I'd have to publish it. It's basically what would have to happen.
Well,
That's
what I'm saying is that there's no
years.
rush. I can just put it on the hard drive and just, or I can just, we can go right up until we start talking about this. I can upload that part. I
That
personally
wasn't
don't care. I
that
personally
wasn't
don't
too
care.
long though before
Who gives a
I
shit, dude?
done this.
I had an episode last week that was 29 minutes. It was literally
Oh,
29
okay.
minutes.
Oh shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, I've 29 minutes. I've had ones that are upwards of 5 hours. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's my podcast, dude. I don't have a boss. It's me. There's no
Yeah.
one. I don't. You know, if this
Yeah.
podcast is too short, fuck off. Unsubscribe. I don't care. It's
Yeah.
it's whatever you want, man.
Yeah. No, because
But,
I think this is a pretty cool conversation. I
yeah,
think this would make a good
I think it
podcast.
would make it. I would read the fuck out of that
Dude.
book and listen to the fuck out of that podcast.
Yeah.
So so I was serious when I said like, if you don't want anyone else to scoop it and like don't feel like rushed, like okay, well I gotta write now and publish it.
Oh no, I
Dude,
mean, I definitely because
I'll put it on
I
an
mean I'm working
external.
on this series,
Yeah,
so
I'll put it on an
I've
external,
worked
man.
on
I'll
it for
just
years.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
That's
can
the
just
thing. But
or we can put it out and just hope someone else doesn't take it. I don't it makes no
I'd
difference.
say I'd say put it out.
I
Maybe
don't care. I don't
uh,
give a shit. I just don't want
just
someone to scoop it and you'd be like,
yeah.
fuck. Because I don't care. I'm not gonna write about it. It's
Yeah.
oh yeah, I was gonna say if you want, I could just I'll just
I mean, I have plenty of book ideas already. So if
yeah,
someone steals it, not the
yeah.
worst thing.
All right, yeah.
And I mean, I'm still not a famous author. So I mean, this
Not
this
yet.
for me is a huge marketing opportunity. So
Yeah,
even if someone does steal it, that does mean that
yeah.
this podcast got out there, which helps me and helps you
That's true.
hugely. And I think
True.
this is a pretty interesting podcast if we leave all
Yeah,
this
I think
in.
it's pretty I think it's really
Oh, yeah.
fucking interesting. Yeah, so fuck it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'd say
yeah, put
upload
it out,
something
fucking
except for
right. Yeah,
this
yeah, let it
conversation
happen.
right here, obviously. Probably
Yeah,
cut out.
I'll probably cut out that. Yeah,
But yeah, but keep
I'll
the
cut out.
brainstorming because
Yeah,
that's cool stuff.
I'll write down that timestamp. It's let's see. Whoops. No. It's God damn it. Fucking technology. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll cut out that. I'll cut out that spot. But yeah, so it's fuck what we so what I was thinking is like it's almost like when you play through a video game, right? And it's
Mhm.
the first time you play through, it takes a while. But once you start
Yeah.
going back through and you already know what you have to do,
Mhm.
even if there's a certain amount of stuff that you just have to do,
Mhm.
and it's like there is a time aspect to it that you just can't rush, but you already know where to go. You already know where all the Easter eggs are.
Yeah.
You can like the first time I played Grand Theft Auto, it took me like 3 weeks to beat.
Yeah.
Now I can beat the campaign in like one 20-hour sitting.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So the thing is like these drops wouldn't need to be thousands of years apart. That's how long it took us to find out.
Yeah.
You
But if
could
we're
just
helping
drop
them
'em.
along the way,
Yeah.
it'll
You
be
would
a
just
lot quicker.
yeah, you would just drop them like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah,
almost like you could force the exponential instead of there 1,000 years or a
Yeah.
million years between. I mean, how long did it take to go from like crops to like sailing to the new worlds. I mean, that's like 10,000 BC to like 1492. It's 11,500 years. Like, but in terms of like how difficult is that technological growth? You could probably teach someone in the same afternoon how to plant crops and how to, you know, and explain that the earth is round, right? So you wouldn't have to, it wouldn't have to be 11,000 years. You could drop them in like one drop, and then 10 years later, you could be like, this is how you build a Wright flyer, right?
Yeah.
It's I mean, I think it was Joe Rogan that said, he's like, if you took someone from 10,000 BC, brought up like, they're almost identical to us. Like the only difference is culture. You'd have to teach them language, and then you'd be like, this is math. But within like a couple of years, you could take a caveman and have them pretty much blend in with society, right?
Yeah.
Aside from like maybe some anatomical differences, you could pretty much like have them talking like you and me. You could have them living in an apartment with like, you know, paintings on the wall with a kitchen and a fridge and a girlfriend and a little dog. Like, so it's not necessarily like difficult. It's just how long it took to get here.
Yeah.
So would you have to do that? It would just
might not have to. Yeah.
Might not have to be thousands of years. Maybe you would do it. So maybe you wouldn't
want to probably do on a curve. You probably do first drop, and then the second drop maybe like 5 years later, and then like 3, 2, 1, and then like each month tag them with stuff.
Yeah. And then
and I mean, worst case, they get one of these things and they don't know how to use it. Like,
and they just hold on to it.
But they'd still just keep it because it is still
from the God.
Thing that fell from heaven. Like, what the heck?
It's the thing that
so they'd still hold on to it and they'd still study it, especially once they figure out that they do have information that can help them. They would keep studying it until they figure out what it means. Anyway.
I mean, it'd be like, you know, Bob Lazar claiming that we have like an alien saucer. He'd be like, we don't know how to use it, but we don't want anyone else to take it, so we have it stored away in Area 51. He's like, we don't know how to use it, but we know it's.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is, just as you said that, you know, it's from the gods. It would.
Yeah.
But you don't, just in case, you'd almost want to also appeal to like, you know, like you'd want the drop to be super comprehensive. Maybe you pick it up and it's people from the 1900s. Maybe it's people from 9000 BC. So you'd almost want to apply to everyone. So one thing you would do is you'd almost like, it would almost have like you'd want to have like a gold plating, or you'd want to have like some diamond pieces. And you'd want something to make sure that they catch the eye of like, you know.
You honestly, if they just do it with stainless steel, that should work. Stainless steel, they wouldn't have stainless steel.
Yeah, no, but
that lasts forever. Like it doesn't. It doesn't
last forever. No, not at all. But I'm saying it is like
it'd be super bright and shiny.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It's
not stick like a chrome plating on it.
You'd want stuff to like. I mean, think of all the old like. So you know, what do you have? You're covered in gold. You've got the gems.
Oh yeah.
Even if they have no value, like you can't use them for science or crops. But you know, look at King Tut. The dude was fucking. You know, his sarcophagus was made of gold. It was just fuck you, I'm royalty, right? So that's what it would be. You would want.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
So you
probably since this is with our technology, we could make it something that they wouldn't have, but they'd still like to keep. So I'm thinking like stainless steel with like kind of like a chrome plating on that stainless steel.
Chrome would do it
because they wouldn't really have that. Like
we didn't have chrome.
It would look silvery and really cool, but they wouldn't know what it is. They wouldn't know how to make it. It'd be the only stuff that has that, and it'd still be shiny and look precious like gold or silver.
Yeah.
So then they definitely keep it around.
You know what you'd also want? You'd also want like shapes, because they wouldn't have the ability to produce a sphere. So you'd want like a perfect sphere.
Oh.
Think like you could make a circle. You can make a circle with like dirt.
Oh yeah.
Imagine like a sphere, like
like a polished quartz sphere. That's like
just
oh.
That is something where
they would
what is
like,
that?
Ow. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd want it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, some like artsy stuff that they wouldn't be able to produce.
They wouldn't have. Yeah.
Like stuff that would require like a lathe or a mill to make. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or CNC. Oh.
Yeah.
If we did some of the really crazy stuff they do with like the laser cutting CNCs on metal, like have you seen those where they put them together? You can't even see
where it's just
where the cuts were. Yeah.
And it's like that. Yeah, so they would see this and they'd be like, no one on earth can produce this. So they'd be like, this is something. Is
Yeah.
this just what the pyramids are?
I think that was kind of the idea of the pyramids. Is just something huge that when people see it, would be like, "There's no way we made that," but they
Don't they
did.
also
Yeah.
like align with the stars? Yeah, maybe this is
I think
happening.
the
Maybe
pyramids
this has already
might. I know
happened, man.
Stonehenge definitely does.
Yeah,
Might
maybe
have
this
as
has
well.
already happened.
Yeah, they just made it real basic, like because we're thinking like have this technology drop, but yeah, maybe they
Yeah,
just made
they
it more basic
build it into the
for
earth
the people
itself.
to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you would. Yeah,
Hmm.
know what you would do?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd go farther and far. Yeah, maybe you'd leave stuff on the far side of the moon,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So literally, like, just keep egging them along.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking like, yeah,
Hmm.
you would have.
Yeah,
But
that would be interesting. Oh,
yeah,
that would actually be really fun. Yeah. So you have them leading up technology with clues on where the next drop's going to be and kind of like
yeah,
what time it's going to be. And then, yeah, you lead like the next big one, the last one's on the far side of the moon. So
yeah.
then they have to, because
They
this is
have
like
to
a
know.
spiritual thing that they've got going for thousands of years at this point.
Oh
So
yeah,
they have to get the technology to get to the far side of the moon to find this drop, and
yeah,
then they could hit it. The next drop's on Mars,
yeah,
which it obviously it's not going to be,
yeah.
but you tell these
They
people
could-
that's going to be on
That's how
Mars,
you make them
and that
interplanetary,
forces them to do the
and
technology to get off Earth to
so that this doesn't happen again,
exactly, and you just lead them to that conclusion.
dude. That's the end of the book. That's
Oh, that would
that's why I'm
actually
saying, man, you got to write a book. This is why I'm saying,
dude,
like, do we hold
yeah,
off
that'd
on?
be super cool.
That's a really cool book.
Yeah.
So this
Oh,
doesn't happen again.
yeah. And they just lead them there. Obviously, the last drop they'll be disappointed because there's no drop, but
Yeah,
then they'll realize that that's the purpose, and
because
that the
we
gods
know
weren't real. The gods were just people.
we're just you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or it
all
would
along.
be is like the next drop would you would just find like our rovers or something, and it would just be
Yeah,
like there is no drop because we never got there to do a drop.
yeah,
Like this is
exactly.
you are to do what we didn't do, right?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe, and that would be maybe the message on
Yeah.
that one.
Well, that's
Anyways,
what it
just
would be because if we got to Mars,
yeah,
this wouldn't be a problem.
exactly.
Or or
I mean, we can drop some on Mars. We
yeah,
do have
that's
the
what I'm saying.
technology.
You
It's
find
just
our rovers, but
can't pick it up.
or or you find an advanced outpost on Mars, and the entire thing was to come
Ooh,
establish contact so they can
yeah.
get back to Earth.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, because they
That's the
haven't been
fuck.
able to like
They
really
can't get back,
survive on Mars very well,
so they're just waiting.
and they've just been shooting the satellites trying to.
Fuck,
Oh, that would be fun. That would be really fun. Oh yeah,
that would be a
because
heck
yeah,
of
they're like
a hack.
slowly dying on Mars because they can't get like
Yeah,
farming and stuff working quite right. So they're kind of like
or they'd all be in like
declining.
it'd
And,
be from like and it'd be like from Interstellar. They'd be where they
yeah.
go into like cryogenics and like they can send out like an emergency
Hmm.
SOS and you come wake them. So they'd go there and they'd wake up all these humans. Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
they would have been out for 10,000 years or something.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Oh, that's a pretty cool. That's a good ending too. Shoot, both of those are
Yeah,
great endings.
man, I was
Hmm.
fuck. Yeah, we're man.
Yeah.
Now my head's spinning, dude. You
Yeah.
need to write a book, man. You should
This would be epic. This would
that
be
would be an
really
epic
good.
book. That would be
Yeah.
an epic book.
Oh yeah. That'd be crazy. Again, then it'd be kind of like you can make like a steampunk world too with
Yeah,
that, right? Because
absolutely.
they would be just behind where we're at now for both those scenarios,
Yeah,
but with the technological divergence or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
weird sci-fi world,
yeah.
kind of like ooh, it could kind of be like Planet of the Apes, where you don't even reveal that it's our world, right? 'Cause technology be
Oh
different, and
shit,
then
yeah.
yeah,
Or it'd be
to be kind of cool for the world building side of things. Yeah,
yeah,
be
yeah.
like
I
a
wonder if it'd be like
steampunk or cyberpunk kind of
yeah,
world.
yeah,
Cyberpunk. I love cyberpunk, but
yes. Steampunk's cool. Dieselpunk is weird. It's cool,
oh yeah, dieselpunk. That one's always interesting.
dude. What if it was like? What if the satellites started almost like the drops almost started becoming like threats instead? It was like you need to
Oh
get off the Earth. You need to get
Oh,
off the Earth.
yeah.
You
Like warnings about like plagues and things and
coronavirus.
yeah.
That's how you
Oh
could tie it
yeah.
in, man.
Yeah. Huh.
And you
Yeah,
know
if
it.
we did in this world, yeah. Yeah,
And
do it like a suspenseful thriller kind of
bring it
thing, like
back to like right
Dan
now.
Brown.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
like kind of like the Dan Brown kind of novel sort of
Yeah, you go from
style.
yeah.
That yeah. There's a lot of ways you could go with this, honestly. Like
Man, you get
you could do old school fantasy like Bronze Age fantasy where they're fighting over the drop zone and
yeah.
you
How
know,
far back does it go? Yeah,
or you
it's
could do like a modern mystery or post-apocalyptic sci-fi,
yeah.
you know, kind of thing or steampunk
Or is it still happening right now and it's
or
they gotta
modern
find the
world,
next
yeah.
yeah, and
Well, that was the Dan
that's
Brown.
what the
Yeah, that's
Apollo
what I was saying with the
yeah,
Dan Brown is
I was gonna say,
modern
that's what the Apollo
society,
program was.
and this is happening, but the governments are covering it up.
Because it's the equivalent of the nuke. It's like who has
Exactly.
the next weapon? I'm
Yep.
saying that's what the
Yeah.
Apollo program
Yeah.
was. That's why
Yeah.
we had to beat the Russians.
Yeah.
Because it almost doesn't make sense when you're like, I mean, yeah, go to the moon and beat the Russians propaganda, but it's like, is it really worth 5%
Yeah.
of the GDP?
Oh yeah.
What if it was like, no, we have to beat the Russians because the next drop is on the backside of the moon?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, that could be really cool. Yeah, and then the next drop is
Pluto. That's why we're sending out
yeah.
all these probes. Why is NASA
Yeah.
spending so much money? And it's like, we got to get to Pluto.
And they are this year they are revamping some of the astronaut programs as well to go back up to the moon. Like, have you heard about like they're planning on doing a moon base
I
right now?
hope so. Well, yeah, I had a guy
Yeah.
on from NASA who's working on the
Oh,
SLS.
nice.
Yeah, he talked. It's I think it's like in the 50s. I'll send it to you. But he talked
Yeah.
about the SLS program, and he's like, yeah, all about establishing colonies up there. But yeah,
Yeah.
you'd almost have to have like covers because ideally it would be these drops are for humanity,
Yeah.
but naturally the power structures would start to seize them for their own.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
And it'd be like that's what the Apollo program was, but we had to chalk it up as the Cold War, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And then maybe it would be like maybe the next drop was in like Iraq. And so we had to
Yeah.
use like 9/11 and like the Iraq war as we needed a reason to
To
go
cook it up.
occupy that whole
Oh
land
yeah. Do the whole
because it was
conspiracy
going to drop
theory
somewhere. Yeah.
thing.
So we had to
Yeah.
almost cordon
Oh.
off the whole country. How do you
Oh,
do
that'd be
that?
cool.
By sending over 500,000 troops. Vietnam.
Hmm.
Why were we in
Yeah.
Vietnam? We had to
Had to
take
get the next
over that
thing.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And honestly, that ties in really well too if you do wars, because wars are usually a huge jump in technology anyway.
absolutely. There's an
You
awesome
know,
quote.
like
Yep, war is the engine of progress.
yeah, like World War One was a
Yeah,
huge jump in chemistry
yeah,
and
yeah.
replaceable parts and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff
Maybe
and
that's what World
airplanes.
War II was like. Maybe they all knew the drop was coming, and that's like,
Yeah,
and like you could. So yeah, so it's like the next drop was like the A bomb technology, and so
yeah,
what World War II was is like
just a big
we
fight to
got our drop in Nevada. We knew
yeah,
it was coming, but we
yeah,
had to go fuck up Germany and Japan because we didn't want
because
them
those
to
are
get
the
their
other
drops.
drop spots.
Things, yeah. So we
Yeah,
went and fucked them up, and we went and fucked up, yeah. When we went and fucked up Japan because we were like, we cannot let them get it, and it was like, yeah, we have to. Fuck. Yeah.
oh
And
yeah,
then
that'd be cool.
the Cold War would have been like, yeah, that'd be like a divergence in like former allies, which is what happened, Soviets and
Yeah,
Americans, because they started keeping their own drops. And
yeah,
that's what the Cold War was. It was a giant hemispheric
yeah.
like
And ooh, with
trillion.
the rise of spies too at that time would make sense
Yeah,
because way back
absolutely.
in the day you'd use massive armies to get the drop spot. But since the governments kind of want to hide where they're getting this
So
information,
more incognito.
they go for the spy angle during the Cold War
Yeah.
to
It starts becoming more
get
and more
stuff.
esoteric. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is what the moon would be. It would be.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a cool angle too. Shoot.
What was the Cuban Missile Crisis? I don't know
Ah,
if that or if that was just tensions
hmm.
in general boiling over.
Yeah, that's just yeah, basically tensions. I mean, sneaking in the nukes there, but
That was 6 years before the moon, so it could
yeah.
almost be like the
Ooh, yeah, like
Soviets
the Bay
knew
of
they
Pigs invasion. Like
yeah
it failed, but in reality it succeeded. That on
they
that
got the
beach was
thing.
actually the
They
drop.
got
It was just
okay.
to get the drop,
It's like the
and
okay.
then
So the Bay of Pigs was actually Kennedy's finest hour.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
one knows about it.
yeah. Because it's like
And
have to
that's
get
why
the
the
drop, but then
Soviets were
also to
willing,
do the coup was
yeah,
like the cover story for
to
why
cover.
they were there,
And that's why
and
the
then
Soviets were willing to fucking bring on World War III, because they were like,
yeah,
it's like, why else? Really? We got the nuclear powers about to go at it because of Cuba?
yeah,
Not New York or Moscow, but I mean, I know why. It's because they have missiles,
yeah,
but still, it'd be like,
yeah.
that's what the embargo. Yeah, and it was literally like the Soviets were like, if we can't have it, no, because they were like, if
Hmm.
the Americans get it, well, then we're already fucked. So it's basically, it almost like
Hmm.
mutual assured destruction. Be
Oh
like,
yeah, and then
we're
yeah, for
getting
the
it or no
Russians,
one's getting it.
that's how they were going to get it. They were going to provide Cuba with the missiles, which means they would have troops on the ground. They're already setting up
To go
the
pick up.
missile silos and stuff. And then while they're there, we might as well just sneak over and pick up the drop already. And that's their excuse to get in is helping Cuba.
Yeah,
But in
yeah,
reality, they're screwing over Cuba
yeah,
by taking the drop
yeah.
from them.
Or maybe it was literally
Yeah,
like, maybe it was literally like,
yeah,
that's what they were so, because it was, yeah, whoever gets the next drop, it was like you're gonna win, like you can take over
yeah,
whoever.
yeah. You'll be
So
the
that's
next
why we were
superpower.
willing to like bring on World War III. Or maybe it was a compromise, maybe because
Yeah,
we were both showing that we weren't bluffing. Maybe it was
yeah,
like, all right, we both get the drop because we're ready to fucking kill each other.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't know, something like that. Or be, yeah,
yeah.
or maybe it was a dud, maybe it wasn't there.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, that could tie in well because that's right before we went to the moon, right?
6 years before.
Yeah, exactly. So World War II, one of the big jumps was in missile technology. Like that was the big physics
It was
problem that was being solved. So that was the drop. For
setting
that
you
one
up
is the
for the
missiles.
for 60.
And then the next drop is how to get to the moon, how to make like ships that can
How
send
to make,
humans up into space to the
yeah.
moon is the next drop.
That's what Operation
Right. And
Paperclip
that's
was. That's why we had
yeah,
brought over all the Nazi scientists, because we were like, they
yeah.
got the drop.
Yeah, they got the old drop, and the next drop's coming in. All the drops have been technology that leads off each other,
Yeah,
and that would be a perfect progression there for that.
yeah,
Because then 6 years later, after getting the drop, we make it to the moon.
yeah,
Other people don't because they didn't get the drop.
exactly. Or the Nazis got
Yeah,
like the rocket drop or something.
yeah,
Or maybe it's like different ones. We got the A bomb drop. The
yeah.
Nazis got rocket technology drop.
That's yeah.
And I don't know,
Oh,
maybe
that'd be cool.
the Nazis effectively hit it. Like to this day, no one knows where it was.
Yeah,
We just said the next best thing is, well, let's go steal all the guys that know about the drop, right? So it's
yeah,
literally, let's go get all the scientists. Because Russia
yeah,
got a third of the scientists. We got 2/3. They got 1/3.
yeah.
You could say that's why we got to the moon. It's because we had
We
66%
had yeah,
computing power.
more
They
of
only
them.
had 33. That would be the,
Yeah.
yeah. So the drop is
Oh,
on
that's
the moon.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then what? We stopped going to the moon. Is there another
yeah.
thing? Is there another drop in? You know about the
Oh,
asteroid in 1908 in Tunguska,
oh yeah, yeah.
Russia?
The
The
huge
asteroid that came in.
explosion. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe that's one.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they said that thing came over and it blew up and it flattened like 100 million trees or something.
Yeah, and no one knew what it was at the
Yeah,
time. It was, yeah,
exactly. Maybe that
crazy.
1908. I don't know, 6 years before World War One.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, had a bunch of chemistry stuff in it
Oh yeah.
for the
Yeah.
gases.
Chlorine gas. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Fuck.
maybe even some flying stuff too to keep
Yeah.
it
Right
with
flyer.
the
Yeah. Right
getting to
flyers.
space. Yeah,
1908.
because
I mean, 1902. We had our first flyer.
yeah, we had our first one, but I mean, look at the jump between 1908 when we had our first flight
Mm,
to World War One. Like
mm.
we went from having basically a plywood thing with canvas that would go a couple feet and you kind of fall down to planes that have machine guns
Yeah.
on them
Yeah.
and like propellers and they can do
Yeah.
barrel rolls and
Yeah.
you have the dogfights out there. Like that's a huge jump really
It's
quick, which
massive.
makes sense because the war funded all that research
Yeah.
to get to that point.
Yeah.
In a
Did it
conspiracy
did it drop?
theory
Yeah.
novel, it could be
Yeah.
a drop.
Dude, maybe that's, yeah. Because up until then, the biggest flight was just dirigibles, right? Zeppelins.
Yeah, pretty much. Dirigibles and Zeppelins and yeah.
Dude, maybe that's what Columbus coming across the ocean was. We
Yeah,
have to
he knew
get
the
to the
drop was
drop.
coming.
We got to get it. So we came in here and just fucked up all the fucking Native Americans. We're like, we
To
got to
make sure
get,
they don't get the
or maybe
drop,
they
yeah.
had it and they didn't know what it was. They got one of those ones that
Oh
was too
yeah.
far ahead because they were
Yeah.
very like land, nature. And it's like, or yeah, it's
Yeah.
didn't like the mines like not know the value of gold or something. Wasn't it
Um,
one of them that didn't, they liked it,
I
but
don't
they
know
didn't
if that
know
was the mines. Yeah,
the
maybe.
Aztecs? I don't know. There's one group that like They
See,
liked it, but
that sounds like the Aztecs because they had a lot of like gold jewelry, but they didn't trade it or
it was
anything.
just whatever.
Yeah, it just looked pretty and yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the white man came over and we were like, hey yo, you know,
Can we have some of that?
yeah. Where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, didn't like some of the Indians they had Manhattan Island and we came over and
Hmm.
traded it for a couple shells.
Yo,
Oh, we set up
yeah,
a new Dutch outpost and we're still getting benefits from it today, Manhattan.
yeah,
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah, and it would be something happened in like Iraq. And it
yeah,
would be, yeah, I don't know. And that's like because no one quite knew why we invaded Iraq.
yeah.
Like maybe the U.S. government didn't do 9/11 so much as they like let it slip through the net because they're like, if they do this, we know it's Bin Laden. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
like our surveillance net's catching it, and we're like, let's let it go through because this
Yeah,
means that we can invade Afghanistan, and then we can
yeah,
just sort of bullshit by
yeah.
association, jump into our
Mm-hmm.
WMDs, whatever.
Yeah. Well, they didn't find WMDs, but they found the
They
drop.
found the drop. They found the drop. Well, because didn't a ton of fucking like didn't the U.S. military like one of the first things? It's actually weird. One of the first things we did in Iraq is like we like secured like all of the museums, and like
Oh,
to this
really?
day, most of
Huh.
the shit is still missing. Granted, it probably just went the black
Interesting.
market, but I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe it's leading to the next drop, and it would
yeah. Oh, that is kind of interesting. I mean, I get why they did that because
yeah
um,
historically
they
and
were
yeah
destroying a lot of old history over there.
yeah
So,
yeah
but
yeah
yeah, for a conspiracy novel though, it's a great one because it's
yeah
like doesn't really make sense.
yeah
But then,
yeah.
yeah. Huh.
Maybe Columbia didn't crash. Maybe that was the drop.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted everyone to think it was just a space shuttle. So instead of like, oh, the Americans got another drop, instead everyone felt bad for us. But in
Yeah.
reality, we're just like hide it in plain sight.
Yeah.
Here you go, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, you could do like the black box in Mecca. That could be like a
Oh.
drop, but they don't know
Oh
it
yeah.
is. But it's
Because it's way
impossible
too
for us because
advanced.
we're like, that's the
Yeah.
one thing we can't get. It's their holy spot. There will be global war. Maybe
Yeah.
that's like the end all be all is like the Mecca drop. But everyone's like,
Yeah.
we can't touch that or there
Huh.
will literally be global war.
Yeah.
Maybe that
Oh,
because it's a very like
that could be cool.
psychedelic thing. Maybe that's like the end game drop.
Yeah.
Just
And
like
we just don't know what it is yet. They know it's something, so they've kind of hidden it.
it's
Because it was illegal for a long time for anyone that wasn't Muslim to go to
yeah,
Mecca, by the
yeah,
way, which is so yeah,
so
they could just
crazy.
be hiding it. Like they know it has info, but they can't
Yeah,
understand it yet, so they're
and
just
we
holding
don't
it.
yeah, and we don't want to openly like go after it because that gives it away.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's like we when we started bombing like the hard water plants in Germany or heavy water plants,
Hmm.
we were bombing them and we were successfully destroying their nuclear program before it got off the ground.
Yeah.
But the early OSS leaders started to say, "Ooh, we can't make it obvious that we're bombing their plants because they're going
Yeah.
to take it underground, or they're going to know that
Hmm.
you know
We're
why are
doing
they
a similar thing.
why are they
Yeah.
bombing our plants? Oh, because maybe the U.S. plan isn't going as fast as they wanted. So they're the next
Yeah.
best thing is. So what we did is we started to bomb everything, incling the plants. And so yeah,
Okay.
that's but
So it's
it's
just collateral
yeah, it
damage,
was
is what
like
it looks
yeah. So
like.
instead, it was
Yeah.
like let's go bomb like everything. But that's like declassified info. It's like we
Yeah.
went and we're like let's I think it was General Groves was like let's go bomb everything around it,
Yeah.
including it. We're just
Yeah.
caught up in the waves, so they don't
Yeah.
know.
So it's
Yeah.
not suspicious at all.
So like
Oh yeah.
we can't make
So
it
they're going for the Mecca one. That's why they've been destabilizing the
the
Middle
whole
East for the
region.
last couple of
Yeah, yeah,
decades.
yeah. All the immigration. Yeah, we need to get everyone
Yeah.
over there. Yeah, maybe it's like maybe you have the different
Huh.
spheres of drops, but then there was like one like emergency drop, and it just held everything. It was in case
Yeah.
everything else doesn't happen, we'll do
Yeah.
one huge, perfectly cuboidal, black, like yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. And they're like,
Yeah.
they did not plan for like the most like fanatical destructive religion to like and it's like fuck so it's literally like
Yeah.
yeah it's like the one yeah it's like some
Oh, that'd be cool.
it's like
And
it's
that would make sense why they're holding it because they've, some of the earlier stuff on that big cuboidal thing, they've
what
deciphered the information, so they
yeah
know that's all the information. They're
yeah
just waiting to
yeah
get the rest of it, so they're holding it off, but they can't fully hide it because it's,
yeah
such a
it's
big
so
deal for
big
so
yeah so
long.
they hit it in place or there was like
Yeah.
one other one, and that's what all the grave diggers were in like Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that was like it turned up empty. Maybe we were hoping there was a second emergency drop.
Yeah.
So we went to like the
Egypt.
pyramid, and that's why all the tombs are raided.
Yeah.
But no, it's like there's just one big one.
Yeah.
They dropped it into the middle of the desert because they were like, there's no rain or ice. There's no like
Yep. So
nothing's gonna
last.
grow over it. It's gonna be right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Dropped it right on top of the oil reserves because they're like, they will eventually find fossil fuel.
Yes.
They weren't expecting like radical Islamist like a state to form. They're like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That'd be.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You wanna
Good
wrap this up?
Yeah, I think that works for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, let's definitely do another one, man.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I'd be down to do another one. Yeah.
That was fucking fun as shit. Yeah, man. I'll email you. I'll email you my number. I'll have you text me. Let's
All right. Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I really like
it.
Are you sure you want me to upload the second half, man? You can have the story.
Maybe cut out the end parts where we go over how it all ends, like with the dark side of the moon and the Mars drop and that sort of thing, because that's probably the part that ties it all together. Although honestly, if I'm gonna do this a movie as a book,
if you're gonna do it, you should just take it.
Yeah, well, I think I would probably do it more of like a fantasy war kind of thing.
It's up to you, man.
Drop,
I personally don't care, but dude, it could be really cool if you wrote this whole story and then in the future we can publish this one. It'll literally be like, here's a video of like J.K. Rowling writing Harry Potter.
Yeah,
that could be really cool, man. We could do some guerrilla marketing in like 5 years.
Yeah, assuming I get famous or anything by then. No, I'd say
be positive. You will. You gotta be, yeah. It's up to you, man.
I'd say upload it. Just leave out the part where we discuss the ending of the book. Because if someone steals it, because I think the ending's super good. Like,
see,
really
I think the ending. I think if you have the beginning, I think the ending is a natural conclusion.
It could be, depending how they take it. Although, honestly, I'm not too interested in doing like a modern like thriller like what we've been talking about, just because that's not like my kind of style of book. So if I took this, it would be more of like a fantasy war, like steampunk war kind of thing.
Yeah.
So leaving that in is probably fine, because I would love it if someone who's really into those books to take it and, see where they go with it, which would be super cool.
I'll just put it up, man.
I'd say put it up and see what happens. And I mean, worst case, someone takes it. I have plenty of other book ideas.
Yeah.
And anyway, even if they do take it, hopefully they'd be like, I kind of got the idea from this podcast I saw.
Yeah, that could be cool.
A couple of years ago, and then everyone comes and looks at this and like, oh wait,
what if
this other guy?
What if some dude writes this story and becomes the next fucking like J.R.R. Tolkien, and you and I are like, fuck.
Dang it.
All we get is just a nod.
Yeah.
And we're like, do we get any other royalties? Maybe we're just pumping up our egos. We're like, this is such a great idea, and everyone listening to this podcast is like, it's a fucking terrible idea. This is dumb. Like, should we not upload this? It's such a brilliant idea. Jesus, yeah, maybe we need to, maybe we need to deflate our heads a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah. No, I'd say put it out.
All right, fuck it. See what happens. Yeah. Maybe that in itself is a testament. Don't hoard the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like the drops. Don't hoard it. Put it out there.
Right.
Everyone will benefit if the whole thing is out there.
Yeah.
Maybe this is our lesson within it. Maybe that was the final drop. We just got a cyber drop, and that was the idea. And now let's see if the humans are ready.
Yeah.
All right, Alec. All right, past future humans. Joe and we passed the test. We're uploading the whole thing. We're not being gatekeepers.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Joseph Johnson. I'll link your book.
Yeah, for sure.
And dude, let's definitely do another one and just at least brainstorm for the fucking. That was fun as shit. That was fun as shit.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. That was beautiful. Fuck yeah, man. All right, brother. Thank you so much for doing it, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Pseudonym, writing name, Thrak Farrell. THRAKF. How do I spell Farrell? Thrak Farrell. RRLLE. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make an audiobook? Are you gonna read it? Are you gonna narrate it?
So I mean,
I will
what
go
I've been
through. I
doing
will
is
listen to all your
self-publishing, so I have
books.
no idea if you can self-publish an Audible book.
Not with
I have
that.
to go through like a publisher to do that, which I plan on doing at some point in the future.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it would be cool if they get big enough, for sure, definitely.
Yeah. I'm
Be
trying to get the
awesome.
Fusion guys to make an audiobook. And I finally
Yeah,
told them, I was like, I'm just gonna pull up my podcast. And I told him, I was like, just read your book. Like, I'll
yeah,
leave the room. Like, I'll just read it over 8 hours and I'll upload it.
yeah,
He said he actually might do it. So
yeah.
if you ever want to just
Honestly,
read your
that's
book,
not a
man.
terrible idea. Yeah, just read it on a
Yeah,
YouTube
literally,
series.
I'll open it up on here and just get some
Yeah,
coffee in like 12 hours and like no
go through
stage
it.
fright. I'll leave the room. I'll go play Xbox. Just send
Yeah,
me an email when you're finished and I'll upload it.
yeah,
Yeah, man. If you
yeah.
want to do that, I don't give a shit. That'd be
Fantastic.
cool. I'd listen. I'd listen a
Yeah,
million times over. I don't read because I'm ADD. Thrack
yeah.
Farrell, Joseph Johnson,
Yeah, Joseph J.R. Johnson is the
Joseph
pseudonym.
J.R.
If you
Johnson.
look up Joseph Johnson,
Too
you
many.
won't find me. There's so many Joseph Johnsons out there.
Thrack Farrell because I remember Thrack Farrell.
Yes.
That's yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
fuck
Joseph
man.
J.R. Johnson.
Joseph J.R. Johnson, aka
Yeah.
Thrack Farrell, aka the Drop Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mind's fucking spinning, man.
Yeah.
Last thing I was gonna say, you could line up the drops and
Oh yeah.
have them like leading to the pyramids.
Oh
And you
yeah.
have it lined up towards the stars, and it's like pointing to the stars.
Yeah.
Go to the
Oh
stars.
yeah. Oh, that could be cool. Yeah, like where they want you to go, and then also leading on Earth to the big library that's still there.
Oh,
That has all the
yeah,
information.
because you could bury a subterranean one.
Yeah.
You don't just got to do drops. You can be subterranean.
And then
Just
the
like
drops lead to that.
literally like a nuclear. You put it in like NORAD. You put it in Cheyenne Mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a
Just
big
lead
nuclear
everything.
bunker,
Be like, it's
vacuum,
there.
environmental controlled, so there's nothing in there.
That's where the seed vault would be. That's where you'd have
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah, so you could do one set drops to the seed vault, one set drops to like the Vatican library like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Then maybe set up your own library that's made to survive an apocalypse. That's its only purpose as well. Yeah.
This would be a dope video game.
Yeah.
That would be a dope video game.
Oh yeah. You could do like Fallout. If you didn't do the drops, that would be the vaults are opening up. You have to find them, kind of like Fallout.
I'm gonna keep going if we don't stop this. So
yeah, all right, yeah.
All right, man. Thank you very much for doing it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. And let's definitely do another one. I'm gonna email you right now, and I'll link you when this is uploaded. All right.
All right, sounds good.
Peace, brother.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Peace.